So I have to make one quick statement, and it's got nothing to do with you, but I have to make it. Jennifer Beretta is a horrible person. And when she sees this or hears this podcast, she will understand why that is. So let's move on. The thing about, oh, now I already put up a teaser, which apparently people really liked, about what we were going to be talking about this week. And it was about, ultimately it started with this guy named Josh, who was, let's see if I can get his full name. He's a shooter up in, Josh Rosenthal. Josh Rosenthal is a shooter up in Ventura, which is my old stomping ground. Right after I got out of the Army, I moved in with my father, and then I moved out into Oxnard, and I lived there for about 5 years before I had my accident. So when he was talking, and he was talking about the Ventura County Fair, I'm like, hey, cool, yeah, I know that place. So the deal with Josh Rosenthal is he is a street film photographer, and apparently there's a certain style that some shooters like to follow, where they just move in on you, they flash, they shoot the picture, and then they just walk off without any kind of interaction or introduction or anything like that. And the reason why is because you're trying to get the most candid shot that you possibly can. You don't want any type of posing, or I'm sure you've noticed that when you're shooting somebody and they know you're shooting, they all of a sudden they pose for you. So
the duck face generation.
Yeah.
Every chick sucks in their mouth so that everyone will think they have cheekbones.
Yeah, and then they stick out their lips, and it's like, dude, do you think that's even remotely attractive? I don't even know why you're doing that. It's like some kind of weird pop culture thing. But so anyway, this style of shooting, you want to not allow that to happen, and there's an extension of that where you use a flash even during the daylight so that you get a really harsh light. Also, when you're doing that flash, the people get kind of pissed off because you're like flashed them right in the face. So that's his style. You saw that video, which I'm going to post on the probably in the show notes and also on the page that we have, which is Hardcore Photography Podcast page on Facebook. So you saw that video. So without even discussing much more about it, what do you think about what you saw?
From what I see in the video, and unfortunately, I read the article first and read people's reaction to the article prior to seeing the video. Is it annoying? Absolutely. Is it pedophilia? Far from. But that's unfortunately that's the bullshit we live in now. Is we live in an era where everything is outrage culture. If you can't be outraged, you must not be part of the world you live in.
Yeah.
I mean, what personally would I go around snapping pictures of children? No. Just because I'm afraid of exactly what happened to this guy. Does it make what he did wrong? No. And a few of the things I've read, one of the things I read that made it interesting was they talked about how if he had done this with a cell phone, there would not be any problems whatsoever.
Okay, yeah, you know what? I saw that. Yeah, I saw that comment, and I thought to myself, that's absolutely correct. Once that cell phone comes out, nobody pays attention. It's like camouflage. But once a camera comes out, there's only one thing you use a camera for, and that's to take a picture. There's a lot of secret little spy cam apps that you can get on your phone where it will fire off pictures, and I swear they're designed for exactly one thing, and it's voyeurism.
Right.
So I saw that comment too about that, where that guy said that we live in a world where you're getting videoed and photographed all the time. And if somebody was doing it with a cell phone, nobody would have even noticed or said anything. But because it was a camera, that's the reason why it became, it had degenerated from just a street photographer doing his thing to some kind of potential pedophile that apparently was prowling the Ventura County Fairgrounds looking for his next victim.
Okay. Now, then therein we get to another level of personal privacy and stuff, because obviously as a street photographer, and I don't know if that I didn't get into it. Does he make his living as a photographer?
I don't believe so.
Okay.
No. Well, definitely not as a street photographer. It's not like he's like he's a major shooter. He shoots, and he shoots a lot, but I don't know if he's like maybe doing studio work or wedding photography or anything like that. I don't think so.
My point being, if you, because a lot of these street photographers publish books, photography books with the pictures of.
Correct. Yeah. Like that guy Boogie we were talking about.
Now, if you're making money off my image and you don't have my permission, we have a huge problem.
Yeah, that's actually illegal. You're not allowed to do that. You can post. You own that image. Yeah.
I understand that there are certain legalities as far as someone can take a video or a picture anywhere they want and post it any way they want, as long as they're not making money off of it. When you start making cash off someone else's image, then you hit a liability you can't get back from. It's an interesting argument, actually.
Yeah, it is. There's legal ramifications as far as street photography, because at least in the United States, now there are some places where it's it's in other countries. We're only talking about the United States.
Right.
The thing is that because of the Constitution, and because of mostly because of the Constitution of the United States of America, but also because of some local laws and stuff, when you're out in public, you do not have a reasonable expectation of privacy. That's the legal argument. And so what they're saying is that because you're outside, I can look at you. If we're outside, I can absolutely look at you. There's no reason why you could prevent me from looking at you. And the same argument holds that because of that, I can capture that image on a recording device of whatever type.
Right.
The only exception to that is recording, vocal recording, because that is technically wiretapping. So you have to have at least one party. But see, that's the thing. There's states where there's a two-party rule where both recorded parties have to know. Right. And then there's states called a single party where only the recording party has to be aware. Well, it doesn't on the surface, it doesn't sound like it makes a lot of sense, but what it does is it prevents the government from recording you. Because if I'm talking to you and I'm recording you and you don't know about it, that's legal. But if a third party wants to record you and I talking, that's illegal. And then that's because you can't allow a third party to just record anybody that they want. Getting back to the reasonable expectation of privacy, one of the things is that go ahead.
State. I was going to say, by the way, you're in a two-party state. You're in a two-party state.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. Well, when I'm out doing my thing, and wiretapping people. The problem with street photographers is that they have a right to take your picture. They can't sell it. That's the important thing to understand. If I wanted to, do my own thing and shoot some pictures and create some things and post them wherever I want, I can do that. I just can't make money off of it because I don't own your image. People don't like that, and they think that they have some kind of legal ramification. They don't. It went from a street photographer just doing his thing to threats of death, threats of violence, legal recourse that does not exist. By that, I mean these people were acting as if they had a legal recourse that they don't have. That's why they called the police, and the police were like, well, I can't, what am I supposed to do? He didn't do anything. And the final thing is a civil rights violation. There was, when the people that were trying to prevent that guy from taking his pictures were violating his civil rights. So it goes all the way from a photographer doing just what he does, all the way up to a federal crime. You people are so ignorant of the law and the Constitution that you live by that you don't even know that this guy can do that. And not only do you not know that, but you're willing to break the law. Criminal threat, by threatening another human being, that's a crime. If you don't do anything, it's a misdemeanor. If you do something, it's a felony. But those people are so ignorant that they don't realize that this guy did nothing. They're accusing him of criminality, and yet they are the criminals. They broke the law. They threatened him. They violated his constitutional rights. They called the police when they had no right to do that. So who's the criminal? Well, not Josh.
I can attach no criminality to what he did.
Mm-hmm.
Is it the wisest thing in the world? Probably not.
Probably not.
Like I said, we live in a world filled with these idiots who want to attach their personal morality to legal justification. I mean, believe me, I remember 10 years ago when people first started running around with their cell phones and taking pictures, and then quickly moved into video of you just out on the street. And I thought to myself, I go, if I see you holding your cell phone up to me, I'm probably going to grab it and smash it on the ground. Because
yeah,
I personally think you're violating my privacy. As you spoke, the law states that if I'm in public, I don't have a right to that privacy. It's just, I see both sides of the argument, because most people are holding out their videos just to capture you at some of the most embarrassing moments of your life. And it's like, maybe I really don't want this moment in my life preserved for humanity,
I'm surprised that nobody has really started to address that. I mean, technology changes and everything, and the law has to change with it. Sometimes it's a little bit of a lag,
Right.
And I think that at some point the law will have to change. I mean, right now it favors the photographer, it favors the journalist, because one of the things is that a journalist is not. It's not you don't get to go somewhere and take a test and pay a fee and get a license. That's not what it is. A journalist, all it means is that you're organizing information and presenting it as a report. And that is one of the reasons why photographers are protected by the First Amendment, because if they're doing anything, they're preserving information. And when they present it, technically they're presenting it as a report. Now we can look at that and go, we can look at that and say, if it's purely artistic, how is it a report? I don't know. I didn't write the Constitution, so that's not my problem. But people are protected by the professional journalists. Are not the only ones protected by the First Amendment. Anyone is protected by the First Amendment. A blogger, a podcaster, a freelance writer, anybody is protected by the First Amendment. So if you're out on the street and you're taking pictures, you're protected by the First Amendment. Now, I think that at some point the law will have to change, but when it does that, it has to take into account the First Amendment. So people will say, well, this photographer is violating my